If you love the fantasy horror genre just as much as I do, you probably know there are two truths for every monster that you see on the screen. First being that they always seem to want something from you, and that there's always a very specific way to take them out. A zombie, for instance, drools for your brain but cannot seem to survive a head injury. A vampire craves your blood, but flees from the wooden stake. Although a demon, according to K-pop Demon Hunters, schemes for your soul but despises music. Directed by Chris Appelhans and Maggie Kang, K-pop Demon Hunters takes us to a world plagued by demons, where the national leaders have been trying to figure out a permanent solution to their demon problem for a long time. Every generation had gifted people known as hunters who protected the mortal realm from the dangerous demons, and this time around, the responsibility of saving the world fell on the shoulders of three girls. The animated film centers around Huntrix, a K-pop girl band who are also secretly a trio of demon hunters working to prevent the spread of the demon king Guima among humanity. Not just that, K-pop Demon Hunters also has a great cast, with some big musical stars rounding out the roster and providing the movie with a perfectly K-pop music-attuned soundtrack. That being said, let's see what the film is really about.
Hi everyone! Ruby! Oh my gosh, hi!
What is the initial premise of K-pop Demon Hunters? The silent war between the demons and the humans actually started back in the 17th century, when three gifted musicians were chosen to be the saviors who were going to protect the people of South Korea from the wrath of a soul-sucking demon named Guima. These protectors used music as a tool to eliminate the evil forces from the face of the earth. Apart from music, they derived their power from the love people had for them and also the mutual respect and the camaraderie that existed between them, which all came together to become the fuel to their powers. We've all heard how music unites people and fosters connection, but in K-pop Demon Hunters, we see how it also heals the world and helps them get rid of all the negative energies. Now, Rumi, Zoe, and Mira, the trio that makes Huntrix, were selected to be the Demon Hunters of the 21st century, and their sole aim was to unite their fans, protect them at all costs, and convert the existing Hanmoon into a golden one in order to protect the world from a lingering nightmare from another world. So that brings us to the question, what exactly is the Hanmoon? Well, it could be said that the Hanmoon is an invisible shield or a dome that acts as a defense system against the demons that infiltrate the Earth's surface. But the problem is that this mystical shield is not exactly impenetrable. There were many weak spots from which a demon could enter, and so it wasn't very uncommon to find them hiding amongst the masses and pretending to be common people. Also, at times, when the influence of demons increases in a particular area, the protective shield starts to show more gaps. Naturally, Zoe, Mira, and Rumi wanted to fix the issue once and for all. They knew that if they won the upcoming Idol Awards, then the Hanmoon would be converted into a golden Hanmoon. With the strength of their music, they were pretty sure that they would be able to do that, since everything up till that moment seemed to be going in their favor. Their new releases became #1 chart busters. The people loved them, idolized them, and more than anything, there was a lot of love and affection the three shared among one another. But the demon king of the underworld, Guima, was worried about the situation at hand, as his entire army had tried everything they could but constantly failed to overpower Huntrix. That's when one 400-year-old demon named Jinu came up with an idea, which he believed would work in their favor. Jinu first told Guima that the old ways were not working against Huntrix, and they needed to get a little innovative in their approach in order to make them a bit vulnerable. As the demon schemes a new strategy, he explains how instead of attacking the hunters, why not take down their fan base? Jinu proposed they formed a boy band and beat Huntrix at their own game, because the moment the people started idolizing the demon band, the Hanmoon would be weakened, thus allowing the ghost to easily penetrate the mortal realm and do some soul-sucking. Guima, who is generally very skeptical about everything, seemed to like the plan. So just like that, Jinu and 4 other demons disguise themselves as very young attractive men and start a boy band called the Saja Boys. In the next few days, the Saja Boys had the entire mortal realm hooked, as the whole country was taken by storm through their music. Even the Huntrix girls, Zoe, Mira, and Rumi, seemed to get distracted by their good looks and groove to their catchy music. And as the public becomes enraptured by their songs instead of Huntrix's, Jinu's plan seems to be working, as the Hanmoon has gradually started to weaken, which gives the demons an easy passage to enter the mortal realm. What made Rumi bond with Jinu? Even after the Saja Boys kept putting the Huntrix in compromising situations and even took away half of their fans, which in turn led to an increasing number of missing persons in the city, Rumi still seemed to understand Jinu a bit better than everybody else, as she felt that there was a lot in common between them. So, Rumi lost her mother at a very young age, and as it turns out, her mother was a hunter, whereas her father was a demon. It could be said that Rumi was the best of both worlds, but unfortunately, she carried her demon side like a mark of shame, and knew the consequences that could have on one's life if people came to know about it. So she hid the fact that she was part demon from the people, and even from Zoe and Mira. But that was not as easy as you might think. because just like the demons, she had patterns all over her body. She knew that the moment Zoe and Mira saw her marks, they would never trust her again. Plus, Rumi thought they would never understand because these girls were literally trained to kill demons. There was a part of Rumi that felt extremely shameful for who she was, because Celine, her godmother, who raised her after her mother's death, always told her that she needed to be fixed. Celine instilled the thought in Rumi that she always needed to hide herself away from the world's prying eyes, until one day she would overpower her demonic traits and become a full hunter. Even though deep down, Rumi knew that nothing of that sort was going to happen, but she was too scared to abandon her illusions and accept reality. Given how she had to hide away a huge part of herself, Jinoo and Rumi grew quite close with time, after Jinoo saw the marks on her arms during a fight, and then covered it with a cloth in order to prevent Zoe or Mira from seeing them. That's how they got to talking in secret, and then Jinoo opened up to Rumi about the incidents in his past that got him to end up in the demon realm. So, 400 years ago, when Jinoo was a human, he came from an underprivileged background where he had to struggle every day just to afford a single meal for himself and his family. That was when Guima decided to take advantage of his misery by slowly manipulating him. I like to think Guima is a version of Mephisto in this world, because he became the relentlessly annoying voice in Jinoo's head and kept pushing this. Jinoo gave in and agreed to make a contract with the Demon King. Just like that, it was decided that Jinoo would surrender his soul to Guima, and in return the Demon King would make sure that he would thrive in the mortal realm. Jinoo agreed to the terms and conditions because at the time, providing for his family, making sure that they had food to eat was more important than anything else. Just like that, his status changed overnight, as he and his family began living in the king's palace and dining with the royals. Unfortunately, the peace didn't last very long, as Guima collected his debt and bound Jinoo to the demon realm, which left his family back where they began. Now, Rumi saw right through Jinoo, how beneath the cold and evil exterior, there was a vulnerable man who was burdened with guilt and regret. So she suggested to Jinoo that if they joined forces, they would be able to defeat Guima. Rumi asked Jinoo to help Huntrix with the Idol Awards, and told him that once the Hanmoon was completely sealed, he could stay back in the mortal realm and escape from the captivity of the Demon King. Initially, Jinoo seemed to be on board, but there were certain things that he was still hiding from Rumi which could potentially hamper her plans.
Defeat it!
Did Huntrix successfully stop Guima? So, right after Jinoo agreed to Rumi's plan of letting the Huntrix win the Idol Awards and seal the Hanmoon, Guima pulled him back to the Demon Realm. When the Demon King realized that Jinoo could possibly have a change of heart and side with Huntrix, he reminded Jinoo of who he really was. Now, what Jinoo didn't tell Rumi was that he had not made the deal with the devil to provide for his family. Rather, his motives were driven by his selfish interests. When Jinoo moved to the king's palace, he had left his mother and sister behind to die, and that fact haunted him till the present day. Plus, Guima thrived on the shame that existed inside people like Jinoo, and he exploited it so that they became even more miserable. That's how Jinoo realized at the end of the K-pop Demon Hunters that he wouldn't be able to escape the clutches of the Demon King, and so he surrendered to him completely and decided to backstab Rumi at the very last moment. During this time, Rumi was already struggling with her identity, as both Zoe and Mira sensed that something was off about her. Her growing demon marks had already taken away the strength of her voice, and when she refused to let the Huntrix perform a diss track against the Saja boys, the girls really started fighting. Luckily, they reconciled before the show and decided to perform Golden, as it was the song of their story together. Everything was going pretty well as they got on stage during the Idol Awards to give their best performance and make the Hanmoon stronger than ever, but unfortunately, the demons distracted Mira and Zoe during Rumi's solo. They then disguised themselves as the other two girls and got on stage to expose Rumi in front of the entire world. They performed the very same diss track that Zoe and Mira had written for the Saja boys, which really confused Rumi. The whole world saw as the demons disguised as the girls completely obliterated Rumi and left her in tears. She then ran away from the stage, only to find that the real Mira and Zoe were actually caught up with other demons. But it was already too late, and they had seen the demon marks on Rumi's arms, and now wanted nothing to do with her. Rumi was shocked when she found out that Jinoo, for whom she had vouched, had decided to betray her trust. In fact, she was ashamed, as she felt guilt for betraying the trust of her sisters and not letting them know her secret. She even went to Celine and asked her to end her pain, but unfortunately, her godmother offered no other solution apart from hiding Rumi's demon side. Meanwhile, the Hanmoon had now ripped completely, and the demons were pouring in. Guima's voice was now in every head on earth, and that's how he controlled everyone to submit their soul to him. But when all hope was lost, Rumi decided to do something that nobody expected. She decided to stop running from who she was. She decided to stop blaming herself for something that was not her fault because she never chose to be the way she was. At the end of K-pop Demon Hunters, Rumi went back on stage, but this time without covering her patterns. People looked at her with their jaws on the floor and struggled to understand what she was up to. And that's when, with all her heart, Rumi sang her song, hoping that her sisters would join her on stage. As her song broke Guima's hold on Zoe and Mira, they realized that just because Rumi had patterns on her body didn't mean that she was like the other demons. Just like that, they all came on stage, and together, Huntrix performed for the people once again. Meanwhile, Jinoo also realized that the only way to atone for his sins was to help Rumi in her war against the Demon King. So Jinoo sacrificed his life and gave his soul to Rumi, so that it would give her an edge over Guima. As Rumi fashioned a very powerful sword charged by Jinoo's soul, she used it to cut Guima in half. At the end, Rumi, together with Zoe, Mira, and Jinoo, was able to defeat Guima and his army and send them back to their realm. The Huntresses were able to then transform the Han Moon into a golden one, which meant that the demons could no longer enter the mortal realm. After all the mess was cleaned up, the world went back to normal, and the fans once again went crazy about Huntrix, which was a testament to the fact of how easily the masses changed allegiances. Having said that, I believe that Guima will strike once again, because I doubt if the king is even dead. I think Rumi just forced him to return back to his realm. So it's safe to say that Guima will be keen on taking revenge on Huntrix, because clearly they've hurt his ego, and taken away his only source of power, which is feeding on people's souls. I'm sure K-pop Demon Hunter will be returning for another sequel, but before that, tell me what you guys think about the film. Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment box below.